Go beyond market headlines to understand the reasons for the day's movers and shakers. And get your portfolio ready for tomorrow. Beaming live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Absolutely flat, no significant movements whatsoever.
If everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat.
The big question is whether there is more left after yesterday's big move.
PNB Housing Finance, possible stock that comes out of the FNO ban.
The CV industry would probably fall into the 18% category, which is a 10% reduction.
We think that moderate intensity rain will continue throughout the day.
Nifty starting with 20-odd points, 24,900.
We are excited to be listed in the public markets.
BMC has declared a holiday for government and semi-government offices.
The markets are quiet, but not so quiet as well. We have seen a gain of 50 points on the Nifty.
Sources say China has assured India that concerns around imports of high rare earth magnets, tunnel boring machines and fertilizers are being addressed.
We are just shy of that 25,000 mark currently. We did touch it, but we have receded from those levels.
Last hour coming up. The day, as you could see in the recap, has been pretty uneventful, although it's been up for the most parts. We are back at almost at the day's highest point, 100 points, nearly 100 points on the Nifty, 24,970. This is Closing Bell. We are coming to you, as always, from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Reema and Nigel. Guys, hi. Afternoon.
Hi, afternoon. It's a good follow-on rally, right? After what we saw yesterday, we made a dash towards 25,000. We've retraced a bit, but again, if you can see the last 20-30 minutes, we're climbing back higher.
Well, I think that 25,050 mark is going to be important. Yesterday, we went very close to that mark and we resisted it. Today, we went around 25,000 odd. But the bulls will feel they're in the game. You know, till that 24,700 mark is holding out, you'll feel that the bulls have it. And with the rupee, that strength that we're seeing on the rupee, that's quite encouraging. So I don't know whether the street is preempting something with regard to a deal or some kind of good news. But the strength in the money market is something that's extremely positive. Prashant, a few sessions ago, we were talking about the S&P upgrade came. And we didn't see a big reaction. Now you're seeing a good amount of a pullback. So I think this is a positive sign.
Absolutely. It's a big one, actually, 35 odd paise, right? So maybe a bit of a delayed reaction to the upgrade. But we'll see. I mean, if this is, a reaction or is it a preemption of what is to come? We don't know that as of now. And we'll have Lata join us in a bit from now to talk to us about what this really entails. Actually, it's very, very scattered. The move is pretty scattered. It's very, very stock specific. But it's 2.5:1 in terms of advances to decline ratio. So that is good. 1,900 stocks are higher and about 1,000 stocks are, 980 odd stocks are lower at this point in time. Lots of auto component names are higher. Some industrial companies are strong. There are textile names which are up. But, I mean, it's not a big, broad sectoral move which is taking place anywhere. And I think that's the kind of market that we are trading with. That's the movers and shakers, Reliance and Tata Motors on one end, I think doing the heavy lifting. In terms of levels, so we are 24,970 right now. Yesterday, you crossed the 20-day and then you also crossed the 50% retracement of the fall. The 61.8% retracement of the fall essentially is at the 25,160 levels, which is still some distance away. We'll have to see if the market's got strength to get up to that level, because that's the first negation of the downtrend that one would like to see before the market does anything more. Let me just quickly run you through what's coming up here in the next 60 minutes or so. We're at the day's high. The Nifty is hovering near 25,000 levels. Broader markets are outperforming. Shares of automakers are buzzing in trade. We'll, of course, have Sud come up to explain why that is happening. There is a China connection there. There are also, there's also Bluestone jewelry, which is in focus. It's made a weak debut as far as listing is concerned. A 1% discount to this IPO price, except for our chat with the company that we had a little earlier. And, of course, a bunch of other areas which we focus on as well. As I said, rupee is one of them. Prima.
Well, let's just quickly take stock of the markets now at 2:30. Auto is your top sectoral gainer. That's up nearly 1.5%. That's the Nifty Auto Index. Its constituents, Tata Motors is your top Nifty gainer. In fact, the top three gainers are in the auto space. Tata Motors followed by Hero MotoCorp and then a Bajaj Auto. And Reliance Industries has been providing strength. Reliance Industries is up close to about 2.5%. And that's been a big mover. But, generally barring a defense sector, which is under pressure, the Nifty Defense Index, most of the sectors are ticking higher, whether it's metals, whether it's FMCG. The Nifty FMCG index is also up close to about 0.7%. IT has also got a bit of a green tick. Banks are underperforming, but in the green. So broadly, while auto and Reliance Industries is showing you strength and leadership, most of the sectors are higher today. And you've got lots of interesting movers in the broader markets. So Ola Electric has been strong for the last couple of days. Lots of momentum there. Devyani International is another one. Brigade Hotels higher. And then we'll discuss the auto anchs as well with Sudarshan. But let's get in a few closing strategies then.
Well, that's right. Let's get in Mitesh Thakkar back with us on the show. By the way, we have S&P that's come out with another view. That's on Reliance Industries. Rating could be upgraded over the next 12 months. And Reliance Industries is the one that's actually found its form today. I think if you pull up a contribution chart, bulk of this gain that we're seeing of around 90 points will be attributed to Reliance Industries. And, obviously, the commentary coming in from Reliance, from S&P, definitely helping that cause. Actually, 2/3 of today's move is attributed just to one stock, which is Reliance Industries. Big Boy finds its form. I think it's around 1% or 1.5% away from the 20 DMA. So if you can get past that, that will be a technical trigger as well you'll be looking at with regard to Reliance Industries. Well, Mitesh is back with us. Mitesh, tell us your view on Reliance Industries. That big boy finding its form, it led the way all the way to around 1600. Then it lost its way. But now it seems it's getting its way back. How's it looking on the charts? And what about the Nifty?
Good afternoon. So Reliance was a trading buy call during the day as well. It's now at the day itself. The structure suggests that we might have bottomed out around this 13 to 16 mark and are in the process of giving a reversal. The target which I have in mind are closer to about 1460, 1470 zone to begin with. And then we can look at higher levels. So positively. On the index also similar kind of outlook. I said today would be a day when I would want to buy in case you get a decline because morning there was a soft opening. And the next set of targets will be around 25 to 50 to about 25 320. I think that's the zone which I'm looking at. The Nifty will head towards the levels. And on the stock side, Chola Finance is a buy for me. Keep a stock below levels of 1500 here, look for targets of 1570. And a Bank of India, that's a buy as well. Keep a stop at 114, look for targets of 120.
Okay, all right. Mitesh, thank you very much for that. Those are individual trades which are being proposed by Mitesh at this point. Now, the big story, and I think this has got widespread implications, not limited to any one sector. A thaw in the China-India relations. We've been reporting on this in terms of the last few weeks now. China is assured to address three key concerns with regards to India. Rare earth magnets is one of them. Parikshit is joining us to tell us more in terms of what's on the agenda and where we can see relief. Parikshit, over to you.
We might be seeing a major breakthrough in India-China relations, especially when it comes to import of critical components. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met his Chinese counterpart in Delhi on Monday, and sources say China has assured India that concerns around imports of high rare earth magnets, tunnel boring machines and fertilizers are being addressed. Since April this year, China had imposed restrictions on these items, and as a result, imports of such critical components and equipments from China had been stopped. Now, if China lifts these restrictions, then it will be a big relief for industries like the auto sector, but we are yet to see how and when and in what manner will these restrictions be lifted. We are given to understand that all of this will happen in an incremental manner over the next few months. We have been seeing how both the countries have taken a decision on resuming flights as well. During his meeting with Wang Yi, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar sought a candid and constructive approach to bilateral ties and about moving forward after a difficult period in the relationship. This was the first meeting between the Indian and Chinese foreign ministers in India. Wang Yi, on his part, spoke about unilateral bullying and threats to free trade and international order. A Chinese statement said that India and China should strengthen their confidence, meet each other halfway, eliminate interference, expand cooperation, and consolidate momentum for improvement in India-China ties. This was not the first time when India has raised concerns about informal economic restrictions, including those on magnets. It has been raised multiple times over the past few months at the level of Foreign Secretary, NSA, EAM, Defense Minister. China, according to sources, is demanding that India provide a level playing field to Chinese companies, do away with Press Note 3, which mentions that investments from land border countries have to be vetted by the Indian government, and also give more market access to Chinese firms. This is, in a way, setting the ground for the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping at Tianjin at the SCO summit on 31st August and 1st of September.
Thank you very much for that. And this explains the optimism, the surge that we're seeing in auto and auto ancillaries. Look at the up move. There's a Samvardhan, Motherson wiring. We spoke about Ola Electric, but across the board, big move seen in auto. In fact, Sudarshan is joining in to tell us that if there is some relief on these rare earth magnets, what could be the implications for Indian automakers? Sudarshan.
So it's the second day in the running that you are seeing a big gain in all the auto stocks. Nifty Auto Index, Nifty EV Index, both these indices are up more than 1% each. Even all these stocks are higher. Now, why these stocks are higher? So in the morning, we have reported that Indian Foreign Minister had a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister, and in that some of the issues have been raised, and one of those issues was regarding rare earth magnet supply that China had announced that it will curb supply. And after that, we had heard from all these auto companies that if the supply shortage persists, then these companies have to go ahead and cut the production. But now, after this news, further China is considering to lift the curb on rare earth magnet supply. This will be taken positively, especially for those companies which have huge EV exposure. So amongst major auto companies, Tata Motors has the biggest EV exposure in the form of JLR, which forms nearly 70% of its total sales. And now that's the reason you are seeing a big gain in Tata Motors. It's currently up more than 3%. It's top Nifty gainers. And it's also positive for companies which have hybrid exposure. And in that, Maruti will be top beneficiary because amongst Indian companies, it's the one company which has huge exposure in hybrid segment. Currently it has two models, Grand Vitara and Invicto, which comes in the hybrid format also. And that's the reason you are seeing a big move in Maruti as well. Now, amongst auto ancillaries, because they will benefit because they have the clients which have exposure to EV. And because of that, you are seeing a big move in Samvardhana, Motherson, Sona, BMW. Both these companies have clients which have exposure to EV. Now, apart from GST rationalization and this rare earth magnet news flow, one positive factor that can also be talked about is the upcoming festive season. So ahead of festive season, normally we see a big move in companies, basically stocks, which have major exposure in entry-level segment. So amongst two-wheelers, Hero Moto is the top market leader in entry-level segment. And that's the reason over the last few days, you have been seeing a big move in Hero Moto. And amongst four-wheelers, it's a similar move that we have seen in Maruti Suzuki.
Thank you very much for that. Gurmeet Chadha is now joining in, managing partner and CIO at Complete Circle. Gurmeet, your best auto or auto ancillary stock pick at these levels?
I think yesterday was the news of GST of, in two-wheelers and maybe entry segment vehicles GST getting reduced. So, and today obviously this is rare earth. I think while news can drive stock prices slightly, but I think we probably need to see more durable demand coming in because the numbers have been pretty flattish, except if you remove M&M in passenger vehicle and farm equipment and maybe TVS motors in two-wheelers. But with festive season coming, I think there should be some demand coming in. So we have M&M and TVS and Uno Minda in our portfolio as far as auto is concerned. Tata Motors, from a valuation point of view and from a point of view that the rare earth issue gets resolved. Second, I think the CV uptick can also come as economy picks up. Also, their JLR issues, once the tariffs issues get resolved, probably that's a better contributor and place to be. But I think that we have to wait. But tactically, at around 600-700 levels, I think Tata Motors also makes sense only from a valuation point of view. So we are pretty constructive here. And I think it has had a two years pretty flattish as far as the industry is concerned. I think some uptick should come as overall GST cuts come in and more stimulus is provided to the economy.
Okay, all right. Hi, Gurmeet. Good to see you, Win. What about from the auto ancillary pack? What do you like? I think Uno Minda was something that you all were in early. Anything else?
Yeah, so we have Sandhar also in the portfolio that if you see the mix for Sandhar is more towards two-wheelers than four-wheelers. It makes locks, it makes frames, then they are also into castings, etc. And now obviously they are now trying to build some bit of an EV portfolio as well. Yesterday did a very small acquisition as well. So and obviously debt reduction. That's something also we are tracking. At some point of time, maybe KPIT also there's been a lot of pressure on. It's more a auto-led tech play, but that's something which is their proprietary models, especially on auto driving and others, is quite good. So maybe once the overall demand picks up, maybe at some point of time later, KPIT technology as well.
We want to play out the soundbite of the new listing, Bluestone, which I will do just a bit, Gurmeet. But Sandhar you like Sandhar for a while, right? You own this name.
No, we don't have Samvardhana Prashant in the portfolio. Uno Minda is something we've been holding now for almost 8-9 years.
Okay.
When the market cap was 4,000, 5,000 crores.
I see. Anything new you've added, Gurmeet?
So we are now looking at, Prashant, as I said, two spaces. I think you will see more announcement by the government on semiconductors, chips, etc. So we've added CG Power, although that's more power equipment and systems to begin with. But if you see, there are three clear winners here. One is Tata Electronics, which is in the unlisted space. Then you have CG Power, and then you have a little bit of Keynes, more related to the EMS part of it. And also, Prashant, it needs regular capex and very focused capex. So the technology is also moved from silicon carbide now to gallium nitride, and that needs very special R&D. And so you need to bet on a big group who has the ability to do informed capex, keeping capital allocation in mind. So it's more futuristic there. We've increased some exposure to the new age companies. Once the AND group sold its entire stake in Paytm, I think we finally entered 197 Paytm. We've increased exposure in Eternal. So that's the second space we have added. And we are now looking at some agriculture-oriented themes. I think there's a big uptick in rural demand. It's visible from some of the commentaries and some of the dealer checks we have done with auto dealers, with wholesale dealers of fertilizers and crop protection. We have started adding Coromandel International as well.
So in the new age tech companies, I think PB Fintech is something you've liked in the past. You now own Paytm and you own Eternal, right? These would be the three companies?
Yeah, three. And I also think Geo is also new age, Geo Financial. So if you add 4, that would be like 10% of the portfolio.
Oh, got that. In fact, talking about new age, tech companies or tech-enabled companies, you had Bluestone Jewelers. Well, the opening tick was nothing much. In fact, it opened at a marginal discount, down 1.5%. But now the stock price is picking up. I think it's up 5-6%. We spoke to Gaurav Singh Kushwaha, the CMD and CEO of the company, Bluestone Jewelry and Lifestyle, about the growth plans. Listen in to what they had to say.
So far, what we have seen is even for the oldest of the cohorts, stores which are open 4 years, 5 years, 6 years back, there also the SSSG was in excess of 20%. So we have never seen any cohort of stores where our same store sale growth has ever dipped below 20%. So I think, and that is something that we continue to see in our current numbers also. For the last full year, that number was around 9%. On a run rate basis, that number is trending closer to 7%, and it's going to come down from there.
Did you analyze Bluestone IPO? I mean, the growth is very strong. I think the past 2 years, growth is 51%. As he said, even in the new stores, the same store sales growth is over 20%. Very high gross margins, highest in the industry, but it's still loss-making. Given the kind of growth plans that they have and accelerated store openings, you don't know when it's going to turn profitable. What are your thoughts on Bluestone?
I think the growth numbers have been impressive. Some of our clients actually on their own took some exposure even in pre-IPO in this name, considering the mix of digital and the feel and touch model they have. And the growth has been very good. They're opening branches, so they are in the expansion space. But in general, on discretionary spending, if I were to make that as a category, we think there are some clear winners coming. So we have Interglobe, which is the travel part of it. We have a couple of hotel stocks, Indian Hotel and Lemon Tree we bought. We recently bought Taj GVK. That's more like a special situation now. It's the most cheapest hotel stock at about 20 times versus 50, 60 times others. So I think there's an overhang in terms of Taj Group selling its stake. I think that should get settled over a period of time. And then we have now looking at some of the players like Trent. As GST cuts come in, consumption pick up, and some things move from 18 to 5. I think the broader consumption play will adjust. So we are increasing our weightage to Trent as well. And then you have a quasi play coming through Eternal and some of the new age platforms of e-commerce as well.
Yeah, no. Have you looked at car trade? I was just looking at the price yesterday. What a move, right? Car trade. I think gone up 3x in the last less than a year.
We booked out a little early, Prashant. We did end up, but I think sometimes the stock market should always give you regrets. Sometimes not exiting at the right time, and sometimes exiting too soon. The car trade was one of those.
I mean, I think it was the last of the stocks to start to move, right, from that plethora of companies which listed digital kind of names. I mean, I've just looked at Paytm, which was at the bottom of the screen, another 4-5%, 1,200 plus. Just recently crossed the 4-digit mark and it's kept going. So there is a fair bit of action which is underway. So basically, on the semiconductor side, which you said, right, you bought CG for the semiconductor play along with the transformers, etc.
Yeah, so I think both the power equipment and AI play and some of the data center plays will find its way in terms of weightage in the portfolio. So then one is obviously HBL Power, which is now HBL Electric, which is a bit of a battery come pseudo data center play. Then we had it in rectifiers long back, which is more a transformer play, basically into locomotives and 90% revenue coming from railways and some pivot happening. And then we have added CG Power, which is probably one of the proper listed bets on semiconductor, is as and when it plays out, because you have Micron, you have Tata Electronics, and you have CG Power in terms of large plays. The other two are basically unlisted. And I think the way I think you will see, Prashant, more series of reforms and PLIs coming on this side. So energy security, data security, and semiconductor chip security, I think is top priority right now for any government, not just India.
Okay, Gurmeet, we'll take a quick break here. Thank you very much for joining us. But good conversation and good ideas there. Appreciate it. We'll take a break. We are back and we'll keep this conversation going with Rahul Veera on the other side. He's with Nippon India AIF. Stay tuned. Coming up.
Welcome back. It's 24,950 on the Nifty as we speak, 80 points up on the sensex. It's a gain of close to about 300 points. A couple of stocks that deserve mention. HLE Glasscoat has been a big mover on very large volumes. Volumes in NSE are about 76 lakh shares, much higher than what we typically see. And the stock has been a big mover, 20% up on HLE Glass. Jamna Auto, again an auto ancillary, gaining ground. GE Power, 10.5%. Pull up a Delta Corp. That's seen a big move in the last few minutes or so. Yatra Online too is now back in the green. It was in the red, but Yatra Online has also seen a bit of a spike.
Jaiswal Nico, another one.
Jaiswal Nico is another one. And Samhi Hotels, we were just chatting with Gurmeet and he was talking about how he likes hotels. He added Taj GVK. Samhi Hotels too is another stock which is higher in trade. In fact, it's a good time then to get all the buzzers. Hormus is now joining in and he's putting the spotlight on all the top movers.
You put the spotlight on a couple of them that I wanted to highlight. HLE Glasscoat, of course, was one of them. It's the biggest single-day gain that the stock has seen since May of this year. It had 80 lakh shares that have changed hands today compared to a 20-day average of just 1.5 lakh. And this is possibly going to be the first positive annual year that the stock is going to have after 3 negative years consecutively. Bellrise Industries is one of them. Auto ancillaries, all of them are moving higher. This is also the biggest single-day gain since the stock listed in the month of May. We've already had over 5 crore shares changing hands today compared to a 20-day average of just 1 crore shares. And within 3 months of listing, the stock has already risen 70% from its IPO price. The IPO price was 90 rupees. The stock now at 150. IFGL Refractories, another 20% circuit for the stock today. This is also the biggest single day gain since May of this year. We've already had 8.5 lakh shares that have changed hands. Now look at the 20-day average here. That's 20,000 shares. And take a look at the volumes on this stock. And as a result of this move, the stock has gone above its 50-day moving average and also turned positive on a year-to-date basis. What has also turned positive on a year-to-date basis is Jamna Auto. And this 12.5% move today is the biggest single day gain since December of 2021, and it's gained in 5 out of the last 6 sessions. And here too, the volumes are substantially higher today. 6 crore shares changing hands compared to a 20-day average of just 6 lakh shares. And this too, as I mentioned, has turned positive for the year. And lastly, Aarti Pharma Labs, this also has seen a very strong move today, 9% higher on the stock, the biggest single day gain since April. Had 9 lakh shares changing hands compared to a 20-day average of 3 lakhs. And courtesy of this move today, the stock has reclaimed its 100-day moving average on the upside.
All right. Interesting list as always, Hormus, and keep spotting stocks, and that's it's all about stocks, individual stocks, not a big sectoral move of any kind at all. Rahul Veera is with us, Fund Manager, Equity Investments, Nippon India, AIF. Rahul, good to have you with us here. Thanks very much for your time. That big story, of course, was the some kind of thawing of relations with regards to China, and the big pain point has been rare earth magnets, which hopefully now gets resolved. As a long short fund, as someone who sort of trades in and out, Rahul, any opportunistically any trades here on the back of this news? I mean, it'll show up in various places. We're only talking about one, which is rare earth. Your thoughts, Rahul?
Sure. Hi, good afternoon. Our view is, as of now, consumer discretionary, auto banks will remain the key themes for the next 6 to 12 months. See, for the near term, there could be some Q2. We'll see some kind of a disruption due to the deferment of purchases from the consumers. But Q3, Q4 eventually is going to play out well for the consumer discretionary names. Now, from our perspective, we believe the overall market from mid-cap, small-cap segment will continue to do well from here on. Also, the large caps will see some kind of a muted earnings growth, but in terms of the liquidity given there, FI is coming back. That is a big call that we have taken. We'll see Nifty moving up very sharply going forward in the next 6 to 12 months.
So you see a reversal in the FI sentiment towards India. We'll start seeing inflows?
Absolutely. That is a call, internal discussions, and our view is that FIs will start moving up into India.
And in consumer discretionary, the basket is vast. Which stocks do you like, Rahul?
So we prefer urban consumption names. Some of the names that we prefer are from the platform side of it. The other key themes are some of the higher priced segment where we believe, although the GST cut may or may not directly be beneficial, but the consumption volumes will definitely go up. So we are taking a little bit contra call there, given the kind of a GST theme that is going on. But some of the key themes will continue to be from the platform side.
Okay, all right. Hi, Rahul. Good to see you in. The stock market plays had a bombastic run. Big move is what you saw on the exchanges. Even unlisted NSE had a big run. Then you had brokers, wealth management companies. They did very well. But we had some flashes that were up on the screen that could be curtailing some of this options activity that we're seeing. Given that sort of a backdrop, capital market plays, how are you all positioned? Do you like some of them post the correction, or do you think they ran too fast ahead of itself?
So we like one of the capital market play which encapsulates across all the subsegments. Basically, AMC plus broker plus investment managers plus wealth management together. We like one of that name which encapsulates all of the across capital market themes together. We like that name. It's one of the topics for us, right? Also, we believe some of the platforms, again, will continue to do well for us. We believe that one of these platform names, right, on the CDSL and KFIN side, we believe these kind of platforms are there over the next 10 years, given the financialization that is happening over the next 10 years in India. We believe one of the key themes will remain this platform plays within the capital market segment.
Right. Sorry, Rahul, with full disclosure, any you want to name the name? What are we talking about here? Motilal, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, Motilal also.
One of our large holdings, yeah.
One of the large holdings. But that's the space that you're pretty bullish on, the entire capital market space.
Absolutely. We believe, across the financialization is a theme for next 10 years in India now. Whether you want to play directly via a brokerage play, you want to do a platform play, you want to play a AMC, we believe these names will help us over the next 10 years to create wealth for us as
well. So consumer discretionary, capital markets, what else? Incrementally, where are you deploying money right now?
See, within the IT space, as per our last discussion, if you recollect, the mid-cap names, the IT-enabled services, right, the BPO services side, we believe that is also a segment to play, where we are seeing 12 to 15% growth in the BPO segment. We believe these kind of alpha names will help us generate a decent return in the medium term.
So that would be the first source in terms of BPO names?
A few others as well.
Few others, okay. You were also looking at ER&D. I remember our last conversation, ER&D valuations are close to the bottom. Have you made any purchases or you're still evaluating?
We are still under evaluation as of now, but we believe valuations are closer to rock bottom. The next 6 to 12 months, things should start turning around for them for sure.
Any semiconductors or AI plays? I mean, what's the best way to play this theme in India?
In our view, this is a little bit far-fetched as of now. Let the government play out all the policies. Plus, we have to look out in the geopolitical situation, how things will pan out for us, and then we'll take a call on these names.
Okay, all right. Rahul, a quick word in terms of how you're playing the entire fairest, non-fairest theme, because China is trying to restart their economy, trying to push things up. On the domestic front as well, you have some protection, which will last good 3 years. So there is some visibility out there. How are you all positioned out there?
See, given we don't have any of these names as of now, right? Given the geopolitical situation plus the export-oriented kind of prices are going to make things difficult for a lot of these names, right? Very difficult to evaluate. None of them are in the kind of deep value zone as of now. So we don't have any of these names as of now.
Got that. We'll leave it there, Rahul. Thank you very much for joining us. A quick conversation today, but useful. Appreciate your time here on CNBC TV18. I think we've got 100 points on the market, on the Nifty, 24,977. We'll take another quick commercial break here. But what's happening in D Street dealing rooms? And Nimesh has been working the phones. Emptier than usual or populated? Well populated because of Mumbai rains. I mean, we'll see. Of course, there is a list of stocks which come up along with D Street chatter as well. So that's coming up in just a bit.
Welcome back. Let's get a handle on now what's happening in the dealing rooms. Nimesh is now joining in on D Street Chatter. Nimesh.
Hi, Rimana. So the momentum from yesterday is just building on, and today for a change is backed by institutional buying as well. Yesterday that was not the case, but it looks like today is backed by FI and domestic buying. And what is more heartening is the mid-cap index. That index is up 1%, and we're seeing a lot of interest in the broader market names today. And that is specifically what I understand that the domestic funds are quite active bidders into the broader market stocks. So that move in the mid and small cap is backed by some institutional buying or institutional interest as well in today's market. The sector which stands out for the second day running is the auto name. The index is up another 1.5%. And a lot of individual stocks within the auto names are buzzing. And even yesterday, the feedback was that the auto move was backed by institutional buying. So the big beneficiary of GST could be that sector, and hence you're seeing a bit of positioning from domestic funds into the auto sector. Technically, for second day running, we are testing the Nifty is trying to test the levels of 24,950. That's a very crucial resistance. If that gets taken out, the feedback is that you might see a further short covering rally in the days to come. But today it looks like the move, especially in the broader market, is backed by some bit of institutional interest and buying as well from domestic funds.
In fact, the mid-cap index is now up 1%. As you said, when we started the show at 2:30, it was about a 0.6, 0.7% gain. It's now moved to the high point. What about stocks, Nimesh? What do you have on your radar?
A lot of individual stocks within the broader baskets are buzzing in trade today. So the first name is Devyani International. Big move on that stock and on large volumes as well. I understand there is very strong buying from larger HNIs, and also the city is anticipating a big corporate development in Devyani very soon. So that's the first name. The second stock is Ola Electric. Again, a big move on that stock and on very, very large volumes. I guess today will be a very large delivery volume day for Ola Electric. Of course, it benefits from the entire auto basket doing good. But specifically to Ola, I understand also the selling pressure from a leading FI fund seems to be largely over with today's volume. So that explains a big move in Ola there. The third name is Avenue Supermart. Again, within the consumption basket, it has relatively outperformed in the last few days. There has been a bit of buying interest back. And also in Avenue Supermart, there is an anticipation of a corporate development there. So that's the third name. And the last one is Cipla. Within the pharma stocks or the pharma sector, Cipla has relatively outperformed in the last few weeks. One, because of some domestic funds buying into it. And also there is an anticipation that maybe the company is going to announce a tie-up with a large MNC company very soon for one of the blockbuster drugs. So that's the buzz as far as Cipla is concerned.
Nimesh, by the way, dealing rooms well populated given rains?
I haven't got so much of feedback on whether there is a participation or not, but generally there is volumes for sure.
Yeah, there's volumes. But interesting list of stocks as always, and we will keep an eye on some of these names. There is Devyani, Ola, Avenue Supermarts, and Cipla as well. Let's talk about what's happening on the F&O side of things. Nigel has walked across to the F&O desk. Nigel, take it away.
Well, it's actually a good trading session because, we were a little bit weakish in the initial hours of trade. But then after that, you are seeing a good bounce. And as we speak, we're going to be ending closer to the high point of the day. And there's clearly a bit of short covering that's taken place. The Nifty is up close to under 100 points. The open interest is mildly lower. Even if you look at the Nifty Bank, out there, actually, the shorts had piled up more. So we have to see an outsized move. It could actually come on the Nifty Bank, which has underperformed in the last few trading sessions. Today as well as doing a relative underperformance, but there are signs that now those shorts are gradually covering positions over there. Moving to the options data, that's looking encouraging as well. 24,900 put. Massive open interest built up out there, close to around 80 lakh shares. The premium has crashed by more than 50%. You pull up the 25,000 put. Now, this edition has actually started in the last 2 hours or so because the open interest built up out there was only around 25 to 30 lakh shares. Now we are seeing a big surge in terms of open interest. So those bulls, they're getting a little bit more confident. They believe that maybe the near term, we could defend the lower levels. And if you're looking at the options data, it's suggesting a broad range. And we're heading towards the upper end of the range because the 25,000 call as well. Remember, you've got it right over here. The Nifty is up close to around 90 points. But if you bought this call, you haven't made money, because the writing aggression is more this particular strike. So just take a look at that. The premium actually is a little bit lower on that name, which gives us a broad range. Downside, 24,700. Well, that's the level that you're looking at in terms of the downside. On the upside, the 25,100. Well, that's the important mark that you're looking at. The range that we are working with in today's trading session, that comes up for you on the screen. Let's get that up. The Nifty Bank as well, that's doing pretty well in today's trading session. But, that one as well, if you look at it, the 20-day MA remains elusive. One stock that I want to focus on is PG Electroplast. Keep an eye out on that stock. It's possibly the one that comes out of the F&O ban. So I think we should get that one up for you on the screen. massive open interest build up on Paytm as well. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much for that. More and more auto stocks are moving up. Bellrise Industries, one of the recent listings, IPO price was 90. Stock is now at 157. Big 12-13% gain on that. Hyundai Motors is up nearly 5%. Everready, the battery maker, Everready is gained nearly 7%. Ather we spoke about, Ola we spoke about. So some of these auto ancillary continue to rise. Force Motors, another forceful move coming in. Stock is up nearly 3.5%. Mitesh is now with us with a few BTST calls. Mitesh, the momentum is building up in individual stocks. Look at the mid-cap index.
Yeah. Very clear. And we maintain that even on the BTST percent, I have both buying stocks. HUL is the first one on the list, near the base right there. So BTST here, the stop at 25.87 and a target of 26.30 is what I'm looking at. The other one is IIFL. So BTST with the stop at about 470 for target, 469.5 for target of 478.
I mean, went across 500, then fell to about 450, coming back up with that 5% pop today. That is IIFL there. Thanks very much, Mitesh, for that. 94 still holding on the Nifty, 24,970. You know, we started with, of course, what was happening on the rupee, and it's hit a 3-week high of 86.96, about 35.40 paise today. So what's happening? What's going on? Latha is with us in the studios to take us through exactly that. Latha, over to you.
Well, it is the best performing currency today, actually. A gain of about 0.4, nearly 0.5%. And on a day when actually the dollar was not all that weak, the dollar actually started on the front foot. The surprise for the rupee has been after weeks of negative news, serious FPI outflows. Yesterday we saw an FPI inflow, and that's kind of fired people's imagination. The chatter in the market is that FPIs are, selling off dollars, buying the rupee even today, and therefore those with long dollar positions are unwinding. The Reserve Bank has no picture, by the way. It's entirely a market-driven rally that we are seeing in the rupee. And then, of course, there is some positive chatter as well that tariff issue will be resolved, if not on August 27th itself, probably in a month or so. The easier trade with China is also creating some kind of positivity in the market. It looks like the worst is over for the rupee kind of chatter. The bond market is exactly the opposite. The worst is very much hitting that market. It's, to be fair, the bond market was broken even prior to the rating upgrade. There were simply no buyers. When the rating upgrade came, it came in the dying hours of Thursday. So bonds rallied very sharply, but they were the only ones that rallied. The rupee never showed any recovery. And what we are seeing on Monday and Tuesday is using the GST cuts as an excuse. Bond markets have seriously sold off. The rally was uncalled for, and therefore the sell-off, should be expected. Actually, the bond market is broken for some time now, at least for the past month or so. There are no buyers. Banks are sitting on losses on their hold-to-maturity book. Insurance companies, which had demand last year, were doing forward purchases, are really not seeing that much business. And FPIs, which were buyers and expected to be buyers, have turned sellers now. In fact, to be fair, foreign funds everywhere are actually selling off bonds. There is a bond aversion. Irrespective of, even in the US, you're not finding too many buyers. This is a broken market. Now, what will turn the sentiment is difficult to say. The Reserve Bank is nowhere near doing an OMO or anything. It's a market that is just waiting for good news, seriously broken at this point.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Latha, let's get on the show. Jay Bala from cashthechaos.com. Just last week, he was telling us that Nifty's corrective phase may be coming to an end. Before we get to Jay Bala, let's also get you some excerpts from our conversation with Rajiv Batra of JP Morgan, who weighed in on the foreign portfolio investors as a factor in the market and the need for double-digit earnings growth from Indian companies.
Foreign investors are growth tourists. They invest in the destinations that offers them premium growth. Till India was offering them, India was all in favor. Now, even if I will say that, absolute sense, India valuations are expensive, but in a relative terms, looking at average valuations of India to emerging markets or other EM peer, we are well below the average ranks of that premium also. Still, people will not visit because the complaint will be that PEG ratio of country is still not around 2 or below 2 kind of a mark. So only one variable which is important is growth, and hence you can see in flows. Flows, if you take the passive guys out, because in 13 billion, close to 8 billion has come from the passive side in India, net inflow. Active guys have seen close to $21 billion kind of an outflow. So growth is a key ingredient for active foreign fund managers to make a comeback. It will start with your high frequency macro growth data points, which are your monthlies and weeklies, and then followed up with the earnings data print. We have a pretty good high single digit earning growth for MSCI India for first quarter FY26, but that doesn't still bring India's PEG ratio to close to 2. So once we come around the territory of 2, that is around 12 to 13% earning growth kind of a criteria, it may satisfy my foreign investors' need.
Okay, now let's get in Jay Bala from cashthechaos.com. He is with us. Jay, last week you were telling us that perhaps the corrective phase is now behind us. Markets could get higher. And the first marker you were looking at was 24,950. And we're exactly there, around that level, a couple of points up. Where do we go from here? Do you still see momentum in the markets?
Yeah, I think the market is likely to play catch-up for the underperformance of the last several weeks. It's underperformed the Asian peers. So I'm expecting a much more bullish move to come through for the markets. It'll surprise a lot of people on the upside. I don't think the market is likely to drop below 24,700, 24,650. So that will be the short-term support for the market. I'm maintaining the medium-term view of about 29,000 for the Nifty from a 6 to 12 months perspective. The fact that yesterday we had about 150 stocks on the BSE clocking 52-week highs is showing the market's breadth is widening, and the gap up in auto stocks. I've been bullish on auto stocks for several weeks now, and that's telling us this is start of a very powerful move. And Reliance is perking up today. That's a very positive price action. So a lot of things are adding up for the bullish case.
All right. Hi, Jay. Good to see you in, and you're sounding bullish yet again. So that's good. You've maintained that actually for the last few times we've interacted after, talking about that 19,000, 20,000 or thereabouts. So Jay is the bull. That's good. Let's talk about the currency space, Jay. A quick comment over there. Dollar index, if you're tracking any level. And the Indian rupee, actually, that's pulled back a goodish bit. It was giving that sign that it wants to go to around 90, but it's pulled back. I think it's breached that 97 mark. So comment out there.
Yeah, let's take the rupee first. The rupee is coming to a very important support. The recent high of 88, 89 might be, there's a possibility that it could be a long-term bottom. But, there's still a few weeks of evaluation is required. But the greater point is that it may not be that sensitive to be long-term bearish on the Indian rupee, but we could have a fleeting high past 88. So that probably one last high, but from a long-term perspective, I might want to get more bullish on the Indian rupee. So when it comes to the dollar index, the short term is quite choppy. As long as it can hold about 97, I think a short-term bounce to about 103 is pending for the dollar index. And post that, I anticipate the dollar index to test the long-term support about 94.5.
Okay, all right. Jay, stay with us. We're going to come back and talk about some individual names, some stocks, etc. as well. But there's 11 minutes to go for market closing, and it's remarkably the 100 points still very much there on the Nifty. Stay with us. Back with Jay with more.
Welcome back. Markets continue to hold on to solid gains as we speak. The Nifty is still up 100 points. We're going to end closer to around the 25,000 odd mark. But the bigger story today is the broader markets, because the breadth of the market has way more number of stocks advancing than declining. Jay Bala is still with us. Jay, I wanted your view on tech. Because you look at it, the valuation front, one would say that premium in comparison to the Nifty valuations, that's got diminished to around 15%. In the past, we've seen it at around 30-35% as well. And the discount in comparison to the NASDAQ, that's widened to around 20%. We have seen it peak out at around 30%. That was, from where we did see a bounce. What is your take on the tech? It's not unlikely to grow so well. The globe is in a bit of a tizzy, but where is it headed?
Yeah, the tech sector isn't looking all that great, but it's coming to an important support closer to 34,200. And TCS is the main culprit for the drag. And I anticipate a final lower low that could bring in a relief rally, at least for the Nifty IT index. It could be something bigger, but I would treat it as a relief rally. A lower low somewhere about 29.90, and then a reversal is likely for TCS. If that were to happen, I think the Nifty IT index will stop falling. And once the Nifty IT index stops falling, it improves the overall market sentiment and the market's power. And if there were to be a relief rally, I think that will help give additional impetus to the market. So the tech, I'm not too positive, particularly frontline tech. But if you have to be in frontline tech, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and HCL Tech are far better than TCS. But generally, I would avoid frontline IT, and whatever that comes through in the next few weeks is likely to be a counter-trend bounce.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about individual stocks. I believe both the picks are from auto and auto ancillary space. Tell us more.
That's right, Nigel. I've been bullish on the auto space, and the overall view on the auto index is that I'm anticipating fresh record highs closer to 28,500 to 30,600 for the Nifty auto index. So my two picks for the week is again from the auto space. First is Samvardhana Motherson Sumi. Stop loss of 88 and possible objective about 120. And Bajaj Auto, frontline name, I had mentioned this a few weeks ago too. It's coming very close to a neckline of a inverse head and shoulder breakout. And within the Elliott wave pattern, this is possibly the beginning of wave 3, which is most often the powerful move for the stock. So once the stock crosses 8,900, we're likely to see an explosive move for Bajaj Auto, possibly to close to 10,500, and possibly to fresh record highs that Rajiv Bajaj was talking about several months back. So it's a very interesting juncture.
But I think he was talking about 20,000.
Yeah, fresh record highs. Let's be conservative. We can always trade with the trend. We can just trail the move and we can keep conservative objectives.
What about autos? Big, powerful breakout today. Where is it headed? And any stock calls in the auto sector?
Yeah, the two stocks are from the auto space. And as I said earlier, my objective for the Nifty auto index is 28,500 to 30,600. I believe that's a conservative objective. If auto index is like auto stocks like Bajaj is going to perform like Rajiv Bajaj is expecting 20,000. It can take out even 30,600 and proceed much higher.
Yeah. Two holding companies, this Bajaj Holdings, which is down about 5%. I'm not sure there's any news flow. And the other one is Chola Holdings. Chola Holdings is also down about 5% or so. So these two names will come up on your screens. And there is a bit of a cut which is appearing on both these holding companies at this point in time. Otherwise, there's not very much on the downside. A bulk of what is going on, at least in the broader market space, is stuff which is higher and strongly so at this point. Devyani is something which is sharply up. And I think Nimesh had, Sapphire on his list on D Street Chatter. So we'll see if there is any sort of related development there. Ola has been, of course, looking very, very strong from the word go. The Motherson twins are doing very well. And I think Jay had a call on one of the names there. Delta is sharply higher today on the back of volumes. There is Shaily Engineering, which will come up again, in the broader market space, which is looking pretty strong at this stage. Just a quick word, Jay. Autos, you think there is extension here in terms of gains? Auto stocks?
Yeah, I think this is start of a
Bajaj you mentioned, but broadly four-wheelers?
Yeah, I think two-wheelers are likely to do better than four-wheelers because they probably need to play catch-up. And I've been bullish on Mahindra and Mahindra since July, and it's gone to record highs. So possibly, and TVS Motors, though, only one which has been doing very well within the two-wheeler space. So probably Bajaj and Hero are likely to play catch-up. And the gap is very clearly says yesterday's gap for the Nifty Auto Index says this is third wave of a particular degree. So a lot of higher highs are likely to come through.
Okay, all right. Jay, stay with us. We're going to just wrap up things here on this on closing bell as a bell comes up. The closing bell comes up. The Nifty 100 plus points, Nifty Bank a little, lesser, a 0.25% higher. Mid and small caps, of course, did the best with about 1% gains each on both indices. Market breadth looked pretty strong. Autos and auto ancillaries perhaps is the only area which did well as a sector. So Tata Motors, Bajaj, etc. from the OEM space, but the Motherson pack and so many other sort of, Bellrise, new listed company, Jamna Auto, actually lots of these smaller auto anch names actually did very well through the course of the day over the last couple of hours or so. Actually, the start was a little slow if you look at what the Nifty did, and then it really perked up quite a bit, and then never really looked back. Actually, if anything, for the first 30-40 minutes, the market looked like it perhaps is going to be a little sideways to lower, and then really started to move higher. So 24,989 is the close on the Nifty, about 112 points in the green.
Reliance Industries, that was the star today after the company Reliance Jio tweaked its prepaid tariffs at the entry level. Reliance Industries ending with a gain of about 3%. Bharti Airtel up 1%. Eternal was up nearly 2%. Adani Ports spiked up close to about 3%. So Adani Ports had a big move towards the end. A couple of IT names, Tech Mahindra higher. Consumption names, Tata Consumer, Nestle, HUL also up in trade. On the way down, softness seen in Dr. Reddy's, Bajaj Finserv weak, Cipla, Hindalco, M&M were some of the drags. Well, that brings us to a close in this edition of Closing Bell. Thank you very much for watching. Don't go anywhere. On the other side is Markets Forward.